Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks, but we're now back in the throes of the passions for D&D. Last week was a little bit hit and miss with reference to streaming, so if you've missed me, I do apologise. I am allowed some downtime, so... as for Tuesday nights, well, that was Martin's fault, so point the finger and blame him. Okay. If I remember correctly, and I will put us over to the chaps and chapettes of our lovely role-playing group. We've just fingered a dragon. Well, Mugsy might have fingered a dragon. We don't know yet. So, without further ado, let's see what damage Mugsy's actually done. Hey, guys.
Never know.
Oh, somebody's dropped on Discord. That's great. So, who's missing? That'll be our illustrious leader. And he's back. So, yes, Mugsy managed to... I'll fill in for John because he knows that I love doing this shit. So basically, Mugsy met a gold dragon with the rest of the troop, and he came out with pocketfuls of stuff. With the gold dragons, thanks, we've got to level 11, and we're minted. Absolutely minted. The amount of magical artifacts that little halfling could actually carry is unbloody believable. And hopefully John is now back. So, joking aside, let's pass it over to the maestro himself. And we've got a starey face. Not a scary face, just a starey face.
Unstable internet. It's calling John unstable.
Yes.
Aha! Knows the truth. You can hide from no one.
Yes. Skynet knows. And have we got John with audio?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can somebody make a sound? Because I can't hear anything.
Oh.
I don't know why. I think it's clapping.
Make a sound, Pebs.
I don't know why. I think I've pressed a button somewhere and I don't know what it is.
Oh dear. It's awfully excellent when these computer geeks all get round a table and the table is the internet and something goes wrong. It's like, okay, have you done the very basic, John? Switch it off, switch it back on again? And no listeners or viewers, I do not have the... I know, right? I'm just thinking, switch it off and then back on. No, on, no.
Well, it's the universal symbol. Control-Alt-Delete.
I thought that was just a mad horn. Ah, there you go.
I pressed the button. It was completely me. I pressed the button and then I've unpressed the button and now it's fine.
Okay, so I should really rename this slot for tonight Noob Alert.
Should really rename this slot for tonight. Somebody needs to learn how to use the technology that they got in front of you. That's a different problem. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, because you know me. Don't know anything about tech.
So there you go. So I've told the listeners that we're minted and we're now going to retire now that we got to level 11 because Mugsy stole everything and the dragon didn't realise.
I think that's absolutely true. I think you are ready to retire. The only downside with your retiring is that you do currently have in your possession 5 of the most lethal magic items ever gathered in one place.
That's all right. We dumped those on the old dragon and pop off.
Bugger off.
I dumped them on the dragon. Your retirement's going to be great. So, shall we catch up with where we were 2 weeks ago then? Let's talk about that.
Let us do that.
We are sitting comfortably.
2 weeks ago, good, because you'll need to be. 2 weeks ago, you, in fact, a very short time ago, you came to Sharanav, and you met with Lord Araxus, who is currently in the form of an elf, but you know is in actual fact an ancient golden dragon of much power and promise. And he was both excited to hear news that you shared with him, but he was also stunned to find out that you had managed to recover all 5 of the axioms. And he'd made a recommendation of somebody to go and talk to, and then you had left his presence while he had an opportunity to think about what to do next. So that's where you find yourself. You find yourself currently in the Upshar district of Sharanav. And as you stand outside his house, you realise that the beautiful greenery and the plants and the kind of streams that flow around and the fountains and all the rest of it are actually a direct result of this being an effect of his of this being his lair. You realise that because this is the dragon's lair, that he's effected this change upon this area in Sharanav. Christine?
Yes.
Yes, I've got that. We'll have to talk about that later because I've got no idea.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be something you need tonight because I've got no idea. Okay, sorry, that's all I got. Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
What was?
Okay. So,
Yep. We were thinking.
so we were recommended to go and talk to the court magister, Bauman.
You were Bauman, yeah.
But we also could do with getting in touch with the dwarf agent in Sharanav, perhaps as well.
Okay, so which one do you want to tackle first? Your contact here in Sharanav is Thekred Coppermane.
Yes, a dealer in dwarf jewellery, I believe.
Yes, she is a dwarf jeweler, yes.
Yeah, I can't spell jewellery. No, still can't spell jewellery. Double L. There we go. I don't know. What do we think? Magister or I'd say maybe get the dwarf contact out of the way first.
Yeah, especially with
Yeah.
what we've heard has been happening. Might be good to know.
She owes us money.
And that's true. That too.
She owes us a lot of money.
All right, so you're going to go find her first, are you?
Yep, I think so.
She's in a commercial area, sort of on the other side of the city. City.
So easier to go to the palace first, or
the palace is sort of on your way. It doesn't really matter. I mean, to be honest, you've got to get down into the main square and then go across to the palace, or turn left and go over to where she is. So it's probably 6 1/2 to be honest.
Well, let's do Thekrid Coppermane first, and then we can.
All right.
On the way back.
No problem at all. So you as you come out of the Upshar district, you kind of come through a maze of streets, and then out into that main square. But you're right in the sort of top corner of that main square, and you cross and turn left and go up another street and a few streets over. You ask for directions as and when you need to, and then you are on a quiet side street that's got a lot of high-value businesses. There are guards on a number of the doors. There are patrons wandering backwards and forwards, but there is very much a watchful eye being kept down here. You think that obviously this is mainly kind of jewelers and high-quality magic items and things of that nature that are sold here, and therefore there's a lot more caution in this street. And you notice that one of the normal things that you see, which is you see a lot of kind of overhanging, sort of tapestry and cloth covers over the street and things of that nature are all gone. The walls are straight. Climbing them would be difficult. You notice at the tops there are spikes sticking out the walls, things of that, just to disrupt the ability for those ne'er-do-wells who may decide to break in. Just makes it a little bit more. It feels more fortress-like, this area.
Mm-hmm.
You go sort of halfway down the street, and you find the storefront, but the door is locked.
Mm.
And
Okay. Well, given what's
there's a window. There's a small window at the front, which you would normally expect maybe to have perhaps a few items on display. There are bars on the window, but in actual fact, the curtains behind it are drawn. There's nothing in the window, and no light pierces from beyond.
Okay.
Suppose we knock.
Can do. Yeah. Give it a try.
You're being watched from the opposite side of the street. There's a couple of guards outside a shop who are just watching you. They're not taking any action. They're just watching you.
Mm-hmm.
You knock, and you wait a decent amount of time. Then you knock. You go a guard's knock. Doom, 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 doom.
Yep.
And again, you wait. You wait for a few minutes. One of the guards looks over at you. What do you want?
Want to talk to the owner?
Locked up. Haven't seen her. Been gone a couple of days.
Okay. All right, never mind. Thanks for that, mate.
All right.
Guess we'll head off.
Sounds good to me. That follow.
Okay. No problem. So you pick your way back through the maze of streets, and you come back out down the main road that leads into the square again, and you can see the palace. I say in the distance. It's not very far away. You cross the square. There's a lot of people bustling around. The square seems relatively unused. There's things at the edges, but the main area in the centre of the square just seems empty, and it's possibly used for a variety of different things. Perhaps there's a market here sometimes or not, but it's not entirely clear. But as it stands, it's just this big empty space. People meandering about, people crossing backwards and forwards. It's certainly not quiet. When you cross, you get to the edge of the palace, you see a main gateway, and there's a guard at the gate. There's a load of guards at the gate, and they see you coming. Some people are passing through. Some people are being stopped and asked to justify who they are. And you join the small queue of people being checked in. Your business?
We have the letter of introduction, I believe, don't we?
You do? Yep.
We have business with the court magister.
Hmm.
So I'll show the document.
Yep. He looks over at somebody who's sort of lounging around. There's a youngish woman lounging around, kind of just on the other side of the gate, and he clicks at her and waves her over, and she bustles over, and he leans over and whispers in her ear, basically words to the effect of, take them to the Magister. And they, all right, follow me, please. And she leads you, first of all, sort of through the wall. And actually, the palace is a series of sections. And so when you're through this wall, you're actually in a narrow, effectively a narrow street that's inside the thing. And you cut down and along one of the buildings and round, and then in through a side entrance. Excuse me. In through a side entrance. And she takes you down a couple of corridors. There seems to be a lot of hustle and bustle going on here. You seem to have come in a side entrance where there's some kitchens and things, and she takes you through, and then down a corridor. And as you're walking down the corridor, you're following along, you hear in the distance, you hear this bang, this large, loud bang. And there's a door in the distance, and this sort of puff of smoke comes boiling out and sort of hangs, and you can smell it's sort of got this slightly sort of sulphurous smell. And staggering out of the room comes this young boy. You think he's probably 11 or 12, that sort of age. And he comes staggering out, and he's basically got singed eyebrows and a dirty face. And you can hear somebody giving him instructions from in the door as you're walking down, and he sort of turns and he says, "Yes, master." And then he sort of topples off past you, and he looks a bit terrified as he walks past you, and he topples along and disappears off round a corner. You notice as well his hands look a bit singed. He looks like he's got, some slight burns on his hands. You turn the corner, and the woman who's leading you, just wait here if you would. She sort of points to just outside the door, and she goes through the doorway, and you can see there's a big workroom. And in the corner of the workroom, you can see there's this fairly short human, pale skin from what you can see. You see from the back, and they've got basically a dustpan and brush, and they're sweeping up all the stuff off this work desk. And the woman who's leading comes over and says something sort of sotto voce. You can't quite hear what she's saying. She comes over. She walks over to the figure in this blue robe, and says something. You don't quite hear the words. And then she leans over, and then they turn their head, look at her, and she leans over and whispers something, and then hands over the letter of introduction. And then the figure turns, puts the dustpan and brush down, and looks at you. So short human, quite slim build, pale skin, clearly not a local, because the locals all seem to have much darker skin. They've got delicate hands. They've got this big, heavy blue robe, dark blue robe they're wearing, and they're also wearing a headscarf. But you can see a shaven head beneath the headscarf. The headscarf is just sort of the way it sits. You can see that their head's shaved underneath. And they bid you come in a sort of melodious, lilting voice. Please come on in. Just when you do, close that door.
Okay. Garthus goes in.
I follow.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I'm assuming everyone is going into the room.
Okay.
Whoever's last,
close the door.
Yep, that's fine. Not whoever's first, because that would be rude.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so you all come in, close the door behind you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let me see. Light step. Your reputation precedes you.
I bow.
dwarf. Interesting. Hmm. And
That's what she
you,
said. No.
they point at Reinhorn. Your connection to your god fascinates me. And, ladies, magic is your stock in trade, I see. Good. I tapped the letter and then put it down. Come on, just over here. I don't really have anywhere to sit, but you just sort of perch here. They indicate some like little kind of workbenches and stuff like that, and you sort of all sit in a bit of a huddle. Lord Araxus. Lord Araxus wants you to talk to me about the alignment of the planes. Is that right?
That is correct.
So this workroom, on one side you can see a series of scrolls and books that are all safely locked in these nice big ornate cabinets. It would be quite hard, you think, to help yourself to any of those. Then there's the table where clearly a mishap has just occurred and there's a bit of a mess on there. There's clearly some alchemical work taking place and the apprentice has done themselves a bit of a mischief. And then there's a writing desk, and then you're perched on these benches that would be handy for sitting at the either at the writing desk or at the table. So you're just sort of all scattered about. So, what is it you want to know? It's Illyra, correct?
It is indeed.
I figured of all of them, you would be the one who would have the best understanding of the foundations and the principles here. Yes?
I think we have all over the last few months gained a fair amount of knowledge of what it is we're asking for.
You're too kind to your fellows. I am sure they are wondrous folk. I have heard many stories of you and even the bards, but you have the fundamentals in a way that they do not. Yes? You know things about the principles that they simply have never studied. Whilst they were busying themselves with an axe or with the and they point at Mugsy and tools. You were reading. Yes?
Well, I was, but then I will also say 3 others of my colleagues have a reasonable knowledge of the magics and planes.
Not the arcane in the way that you do.
Maybe not quite.
Again, this is not meant as an insult. Anyway, I digress.
No,
so,
she just called Mugsy a tool.
You know.
But what a fascinating tool. I think that's what she meant. A fascinating tool.
Who said she was a she?
My.
Oh, Pete.
Exactly.
Oh,
Presuming.
no, you've been very careful to avoid pronouns.
You've noticed, have you?
I have noticed, yes.
That's because this person's indeterminate. You don't have a read on them.
Okay.
You can't tell whether they are male or female. It just...
Right.
They are indeterminate.
Agenda.
Normally it's obvious, and this is one case where it's not. So.
Okay. All right. They just called Mugsy a tool.
What about it?
That is correct.
Can we get away with it called Mugsy at all?
Yeah, well,
those tools,
worse
as
has
in
happened.
lockpicks, yeah.
But we
But,
appreciate your tools,
Well, I
Mugsy.
don't get in the way of,
That's the point.
Such a thing.
I
don't know,
definitely
she's
appreciate your small
She's
tools.
dismissing Mugsy's extensive and expert knowledge of magic.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And the planes.
And the planes.
No, she isn't.
I mean, Mugsy
No,
told
they
that.
isn't.
Mugsy told that demon to go back to the plane, and it went.
Yeah.
It's
Put up a
okay,
good
guys.
case.
I'm just waiting for Mugsy
It's
to cast
okay.
hideous laughter on her. Him. It.
So,
Them.
what are you?
I said you.
It.
Wait. Sorry. I did my apologies.
You get fired in the civil service for that, you know.
I know.
Right.
Oh, boy. Your brain just
Very
goes
good.
out, doesn't it?
So, what do you want to know then? Is what you've been asked.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. What do we want to know?
Well,
What do we want to know?
we want to know why demons and are breaking through to our plane.
Do we? Oh.
Is it because of the alignment of the planes?
We're here to find out.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, is it? Are we heading to an alignment of the planes similar to what was the reasoning behind the cataclysm?
Okay, what he said.
Right.
Oh,
Are we
learned
heading
colleague of ours.
An alignment of planes, as we once did when the cataclysm happened. This is what we are trying to. We have
The Sundering.
experienced many meetings with demons, many more meetings with demons than we may be expected to have done over the past
Is
few.
there? What would be a normal level of demon activity? I don't know.
Certainly not as many as we have encountered, let's put it that way.
Are you talking of the conjunction? And Bowman goes and picks up opens a small cabinet and picks out this small brass model, brings it over and sits it down in front of you, Illyra. And you realise it's a planar alignment. It's an orrery for the planes. And Bowman sets a series of things and turns a series of levers.
Does it look like that giant one we messed with before?
It does. It looks very, very much like that. Only slightly different alignment, you think?
Mm-hmm.
What if we go back there and set it? Never mind.
So this Bowman winds a little wheel and the whole thing kind of. You're talking about what and winds this alignment here. Yes.
And
Possibly.
This conjunction across here. This conjunction.
Mm-hmm.
What can I see? Does that look about right?
Yeah, it does. It's this lining up of the way the planes all kind of come in close to one another and the way that they line up in a line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That looks along the lines of what I'm talking about, yes.
If we rewind, this is not the first time this alignment has happened since the Sundering.
Okay. How
These
many
alignments happen at roughly every 150 years. There are some differences and some delicate balances. But as far as I'm aware, there has only been the one Sundering around just over 1,000 years ago, not many Sunderings.
So what was what so panicked them back then that that they resorted to such extreme measures?
Well, there was clearly a significant demonic incursion. And their machine was to break that. That was clearly caused by the alignment plus something else. But what that thing else is, it's hard to know. Something perhaps about their magic. Their magic was different to ours, you see.
Yes, so we understand. Yes. So it was just, as far as you know, a regular conjunction back then, and it was this extra factor that made them resort to the sundering.
That is the only conclusion I can draw. I can't see that this alignment on its own was sufficient. Certainly, the effects of demons waxes and wanes in our world. And certainly there are those who believe they can get ahead by tapping into the power of the chaotic worlds of demons. There is no question of this. But this...
Can I show them the book with the picture of the machine in it? See if they've got any... If that gives them any clues as to... alongside their existing knowledge, to see whether that ties anything together for them in terms of additional reasoning context.
I knew of this, of course. I knew of this machine. It was apparently activated by some incredibly powerful force. It apparently could take different configurations to work in different ways.
Interesting. Are there any stories about how many ways and what those might be?
There were some writings that came to me that had some notes about this. You know, when they performed this ritual with this machine, this spoke only of briefly that they performed 2 rituals with the machine. The first was unclear. It was listed as a ritual of separation, but exactly what form of separation, I don't know. And then there was the ritual of realignment. And when they performed the ritual of realignment, afterwards, everything seemed fine, and the sundering itself did not occur until a time later. It wasn't immediate upon the forced realignment of the planes, almost as if the tensions built up, the planar tensions built up, and then unleashed themselves.
Interesting.
So the machine did actually forcefully realign the planes then?
As I understand it, yes. I suppose what it really did was it forced a speeding up of this mechanism. A fast forwarding, if you like.
Yeah.
To take the planes out of alignment, and therefore to force the armies of the two-headed one back to the abyss.
Interesting. So basically brought the alignment to a premature conclusion.
As I understand it. Again, I only have fragmentary notes from some ancient writings.
Okay.
It's so frustrating. If only we could find more information, we could get a better understanding. if we had access to information from back then. But of course, so much of it was lost because of the breaking of the earth and the sheer destruction. So many things disappeared. Yeah. They're great cities. Even this machine, its location is lost.
Yes. So much was lost back then. Well, thank you very
Anthony,
much. Time.
are you looking at chat?
I'm not. Should I be? On Roll20?
Yes.
It's
It was ages ago, and you haven't, nothing's happened.
nope,
And I'm
nope. I will do that.
Okay.
Actually, I'll do it as soon as I can get my.
His hamster sense is kicking in.
So,
telling him that
do it.
got a salad
There,
in
finally.
There you go. That's what you want.
Go figure.
And I was not actually. I'm on chat screen, not on game screen. So Mugsy's just rolled a crit for an intelligence check. Don't know why this is for the streamers, by the way. Don't know what the intelligence check is for, but I'm going to assume that Mugsy's going to tell us, or not, later. Possibly not, because he'll have forgotten.
Mugsy may be waiting for.
He's in trouble now. That's all.
Yeah,
Mugsy's brain works. Mugsy's brain works at the speed of John's typing. So.
Okay.
As last time we were in a Magister's study, didn't you end up with a bracelet that was slowly turning you into a lizard?
You know, my hands are in my pockets right now. Just so you know.
Yeah, that's a different lizard.
Well, let's see. So I am chatting to Reinhorn, who is standing in the back with me. Whisper this.
Yep. Okay. You may do that. That's fine. You guys carry on. That's not an issue. Now.
I mean, I've not got anything else. Have anyone else got anything else?
And as Bauman is talking to you, Garvus, and Illyria, you two sort of have pushed yourselves to the front. The others are sort of you're talking away, and you're having this conversation. They pick up they're just sort of shuffling papers around on the desk, and you notice that they're just sort of making some marks and talking to you about them. And then suddenly you notice a brief sort of flurry of handwriting, and the piece of paper is sort of wafted in front of you as part of the conversation, and then it's pulled away again. And written on it is... And then the conversation continues on, talking about the planar alignments, and you're having this whole discussion between you. And they make another note.
Oh. Chug it.
Okay.
And just sort of, they're talking and they're making these little notes, and there's basically various diagrams coming out and notes, but also as part of it is these kind of things are being written and shoved in front of you, and this whole response, you can kind of see it. And if you weren't able to see what was written on the pieces of paper, you wouldn't. I mean, Delira, you're looking at this, and even you don't notice what's being done here, because it's only kind of Garvus. They're literally flashed in front of Garvus, and then they're away again. And then suddenly it's only as they're going along, and you're looking at the way that Garvus is responding, and he's got that Garvus poker face on, and you're looking at him, and you realise there's notes being passed. You just can't quite see what they are, but you're twigging it. And at this point, in the background, it just behind, there's this little. You can hear this kind of sub-vocalized conversation between Reinhorn and.
We are going so
Mugsy,
fast between myself and Mugsy. It's just like
Well, it's almost.
Yeah.
No one else can really.
I actually pick him up.
You're talking.
Yeah. At one point, I actually pick him up, and I'm literally just sort of like. He's sort of like sat on my shoulder, and he's just sort of like bent in, and I'm like turning around and going.
I don't think we're being that obvious.
So anyway, what I would say to you, and it's just my view, it's one scholar's view, and I do understand that as a single scholar, you are perhaps faced with choices that I simply am not, and I see the power in you, and I see the strength of your magic now, and all of you. I see how much power you wield, and far be it from me to interpose myself into that. But it's just my opinion, and I could perhaps consult with some other people who may also have an opinion. But it is my opinion that you. If you were to try to force this realignment again, I'm not sure that there would be any purpose. By now, the position of the alignment, my understanding from what I know, this was the point at which the incursion of the demons was very obvious. The ancients had, they were being overrun by demonic hordes at this point, and well, I might consider some of the people in this town to be demonic, but they're not really demons, are they? So I'm not seeing the same thing, I don't think. So I think I would urge caution. Be careful what you do. Be careful how you approach this. I'm not sure it's necessary for you to wind things on in the way that they did, for fear of creating a second sundering.
I see.
And John, I'm using my little cantrip to send whispers.
Cantrip to?
That sends whispers. So
okay. So if you start casting, casting, there's Bauman.
Good chance this guy's going to know.
Yeah.
All right.
Bauman's going to know.
Instead, I pull other people back to pass on information.
Okay. I mean, you don't think it's necessary to may not be necessary to have that conversation immediately here and now.
Okay. Belay that, folks. Just Reinhorn and whoever's standing slightly back. Gotten that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delira?
Yeah, I think I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your sage advice on the subject.
Sage.
I hope it's useful. If I can help in any way, I will. I just don't know how at this point. If I can think of something, perhaps I'll message you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You're very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions?
Nope.
Right, Bauman opens the door. Sorry, you were saying? You go first.
No, I was just going to say, no, I think you guys, between yourself and Alira, you've covered everything. So yeah.
So, Bauman, you notice, picks up this little bell, opens the door and goes ding 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 ding, ding, and within about 30 seconds, the young woman who kind of took you reappears around the corner. Ready now. Follow me, please. And she threads basically in reverse.
I do a quick bow to the sexless person. Say, may the mother of all magic protect you. And step out.
And just as you're about to go, Bauman just puts their fingers on your shoulder and leans in and whispers to you and says, keep it up. Your magic is strong. And then steps back.
Being straight.
Does Mugsy actually... right, John, after...
Don't encourage it. Don't encourage it.
After that was said in his ear, does Mugsy actually manage to get out through the door?
No. Thunk his head.
Yeah. I mean, do we need to grease him up a little bit?
Idea of Mugsy.
He steps through with that. He steps through with that grin. He's like, yep. Oh yes.
I nudge Mugsy and go, told you.
So she leads you back out the front and back out into the square and says, enjoy your day.
Very good.
Okay. We've got a house,
So
haven't
let's say we break into that dwarf's place.
I think that's better tonight, isn't it? When the guards aren't quite so full.
Fair enough.
It's all right. We'll make a premise that that you've gone out on a beer run, and I'll take first watch. Garvis won't know.
Are we going to stay at Lord Araxis's place, or are we going to?
At the moment, you have walked back out into the square, and you are walking as a group leisurely across the square. I mean, I don't know how much. Obviously, what whispers you guys have done in the background. Do you want to share what you've learned?
Not out in the square.
Everybody is whispers.
Yeah, not out in the square. I would prefer it to.
Okay.
If we're going to role play it, to wait until we actually get back to somewhere. Didn't Lord Arax didn't the gold dragon dude, elf man thing, give us a house?
Yes, he said you could stay at his guest house, his lodging house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Is that what you were on about, Pete?
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. We'll go back there and we'll see what's in the fridge. I mean, the larder. I mean, the cold store.
That's good, Jarvis.
Let me just check something out. Just before we go, how about we quickly visit my temple? I've got an idea.
Oh. Cool.
Well,
Now, as it happens, your temple is on the square.
Perfect.
In fact, temples.
What is it with these fighters and needing to go to the temple to renounce their
around the other side of the palace? So it's quite a walk. I'd say quite a walk. It's not quite a walk. It's like a couple of minutes. You know, it's just further away from where you are. You just got to go all the way around. And
Reinhorn, you'd like these places. They have bowls of gifts for when you come in.
Really? Excellent. Yeah. Let's go then. Come on then, Garvis. Let's have a look at this here temple of yours.
They are a health and safety nightmare. I mean, you hurt yourself quite badly at the last one, didn't you?
There is that.
The slippery floor, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll head over to the Temple of Torm. And head inside. I shall pay my respects quickly.
I'll say a prayer out loud to my goddess.
And I'll have a quick word with an acolyte, see if there's a private room we could use. Don't know how big the temple is.
One of the acolytes actually says that it's quite a large temple. That says if you were to perhaps go down to the end and into the chapel, it would give you the peace that you require to commune with Torm. Perhaps take your fellows with you. They would, I'm sure, benefit from the experience, the acolyte said.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure they would. Right.
So you go down the end of the temple, and basically there's two little side chapels. So there's the main body of the temple. There's these two little side chapels. You turn into one of the side chapels, and actually it has these wooden screens. And as you go in, the acolyte follows you down, and then they just close the screens behind you, and you feel the peace settle upon you in this space. There's no one can see you. I mean, actually, the screens don't come to the top and to the bottom, but all sound from beyond in the body of the place just falls away. And there are no windows or anything else like that. You're in this tiny little chapel with a small altar dedicated to Torm.
Right. Well, I'll make a quick genuflection to the altar, and then I'll turn to the rest and say, we're protected from scrying here, so we can speak freely.
I look around because I don't remember the word scrying, so I'm worried about scries.
We cannot be overheard by mundane or magical means.
I see that Garvis has picked up that Muzzy's. Yeah. And I immediately tell you what was said. Yeah, you see that owl tattoo? Same one as Shantia's.
I wonder if...
Yeah. And when we were speaking with the Magister Balman, they showed me some written notes that they very quickly jotted down, and basically said that because we're staying at the house of Lord Araxus, he can see and hear everything we say, and obviously do, and that we are being listened to.
Are we at odds with lawful good gold dragons?
Of course, they're good.
Now, that's using lawful good.
Being a good dragon means you are good, but you are still a dragon. And the dragons do not necessarily have the same goals as the rest of us.
And regardless of our intentions,
gold dragons are known for following the laws, but they are their own laws, not necessarily ours.
Regardless of our intentions, we are still dangerous as a group with what we carry.
So,
can I just, as well, sorry, just to interrupt, Rob, I just want to draw everyone's attention to the OneNote, right? It's very boring. But in there, I've put the story that Lord Araxus told you about Morthrax and Parlona. And I just want to kind of, you perhaps haven't had much of a chance to really cogitate on that since our last session. And I want to just, let you have a little think about it and the implications of it and the things that he said.
Well, the fact that they call us the low races, and the fact that the low races were threatening the dragons, so they formed a truce against the low races with the chromatics and the metallics. Where are we? Yeah, over time, the magical skills of the low races began to concern the dragons. The voice of Morthrax Parlona began to dim, and over time, the ties that bound the metallics and chromatics began to loosen. Then, abruptly, 1,000 years ago, the voice was gone from the world, and all dragons believed their ancient kin to have been lost to the Sundering. Well, given the way that Lord Araxus reacted when we told him that we had found them, my suspicion would be that he would want to wake them again.
Well, that's actually what he said to you.
Yeah.
He said to you that he believed that the axioms could be used to free Morthrax and Parlona.
Well, you see, that could be a danger because
It could be a bad thing.
the sundering was caused by, well, from what we learned today, the sundering was caused by two factors. One was the alignment of the planes, and the other by this other factor. Now, we know that this other factor was probably due to them mining these magical crystals out from, I believe, and using the power from them, which was being drawn from other planes. Is that right?
Yeah. So let me just jump in there. Bauman didn't say that the sundering was caused by the other thing. Bauman said that they believed that the incursion of the demons was caused by the magical power that was being used by the ancients.
Then they used
so it was the alignment plus the magical power that led to the incursion, and then the sundering was caused by basically the fast forwarding, the realignment, the forced realignment of the planes.
Yeah. So, but Morthrax and Parlona were right in the depths of this mine for these magical crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the axioms were used to awaken them, that could result in the activating of the magical crystals. They could require a large amount of power, and they use the crystals, which could then open, again, draw massive amounts of power from the other plane and open the potential for an incursion again. Or Morthrax and Parlona could have basically decided that their job is to hold those gates closed, and that they are.
What you also know from Vitus's writing is that that the shield mountains, the huge towers of ice that sit around where Morthrax and Parlona are situated, was created basically by a dwarf who was an expert magic user. And in doing so, he drew power from Morthrax and Parlona. He drew power from the dragons and used basically their immortal essence to form the mountains. So that ring of ice that sits around the site of the old university, where Morthrax and Parlona are, is powered by Morthrax and Parlona. You know that from Vitus's writing.
Mm.
So
basically, the place is.
Just throw this stuff together, you know.
Yeah. So effectively, the mine is protected, so that people aren't tempted to use it again. There's great power there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if Morthrax and Parlona are powering the walls of ice, then if they were freed, the walls of ice would fall, and the mine would be open to exploitation.
Okay.
So, by the sounds of it, then we've got 3 life choices. We either use the axioms to reverse the sundering, thus basically maybe killing everyone, because it might not work.
No,
but at least, and or give the primordial, or hand them over to the primordial. Or we keep hold of them and we pass them down to acolytes that we deem worthy, so that they're constantly on the move doing something. Or B, or C, sorry, we just hand them over to the dragons, and then go, fuck it, we're going back to the inn.
Oh, well, we could. I'd say we go back to the inn and we bury them in the backyard.
And we name the inn the Conjunction.
Yeah.
Well, what about the ritual of separation? I mean, that is, I think that is a good pub name, a good inn name, because we are actually creating a ritual to separate punters from their gold.
How about the angry dragon?
Because I think it would need to be a lot more subtler.
Realise,
The fucked off Araxis dragon.
Yeah.
What you are starting to realise between you is that, and what's starting to dawn on you is that these things you have. I mean, you knew they were dangerous and powerful anyway, right? And you've done the right thing by sequestering them and being careful, right? So you've done all that, but also you're starting to realise that you've basically got targets painted on your back.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've met with a dragon and you thought, great, and now you're like, maybe not great.
Yeah.
Okay, so with this new information...
Why the other group split up and went their merry way to split up these axioms in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
the thing is that at the end of the day, somebody who was determined, or a group that was determined enough, was eventually going to pull these together. It just so happened that it was you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, but the point is,
he looks at Mugsy and thinks maybe not.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be that there's any purpose to them us having together. It doesn't seem like there's a big demonic incursion in any particular way. I mean, there seems to be there's a couple of groups who want the axioms. Obviously, there's one of them which is was it She of Many Faces? She of 1,000 Faces wants to free the primordial from the shattering of its soul. I don't know if that's connected to these pale-faced elves. And obviously the dragons would like to use it to free their pair of
ne'er-do-wells.
Ne'er-do-wells, yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing, of course, is that what's good for the dragons, having those two come back, probably not good for the rest of us necessarily. Do we want dragons in charge of everything? I mean, it's not that we've been doing fantastically well, but on the other hand, at least, the Dwarven Kingdom and the elves and the humans are in charge of our own destiny. Whereas it sounds like from the history that the dragons very much see themselves as the overlords and that they should be in charge of everything.
I think we've been chasing incursions and various other demonic items, and maybe there is a bit of power being drawn from in small amounts helping with this, but I think that seems to be an indication of some unnatural influence. Maybe if we can follow that and reveal the source, that may give us an action to.
Well, there's definitely
some strings.
There's definitely a conjunction happening, which is probably weakening, weakening the walls between the planes. But as we found out, that happens every 150 years. So it's nothing new, and it's nothing that would require something of the power of the axioms to deal with.
Right, so Martin's just said something, okay, and I think he needs to write it down so we can put it on OneNote. Because whatever it was, I'm sure it's going to come back and bite us in the ass later, and then we can go, oh yeah.
Yep.
Because I think he's on a route there. Now, the other thing that I was just thinking about was, it's been 1,000 years, right, since the dragons have gone dormant. The dragons have now been able to do whatever they want because the two prime dragons were the voice for all the dragons. So they did what was they did as they were told. So now we've got all the dragon factions that are now kind of doing all their own stuff. Yes, 1,000 years is but nothing to a dragon, but for the lower races, that's a long time. I think if we wanted to pursue releasing the dragon so that we can basically negotiate if we do this, you will leave the lower races alone to do what the lower races do. We won't hunt you, we won't blah blah blah. But that in itself, I think, has its own difficulties because we're going to need all the heads of power. And at the moment, the Dwarf King won't step out of dwarfdom. So we've got big problems with that. If we give the axioms,
we're the heads of power as long as we've got the crystals.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That means I'm the most powerful cleric in the land.
We are.
They're all fucked. You're right. We are.
Until they take them from us.
If we have the most powerful key that opens the most powerful chest, that's got the most powerful weapons, then we are, by definition, the most powerful people on this plane of existence.
At this moment, if you think about it, and
power is gained through knowledge, and we do not have
the knowledge.
So, can you remember me saying write down whatever Martin just said?
How you're power stones.
I mean, the thing we have to know, the thing we remember about these axioms is that these are not ownerless items. They have their own will. And that will wants to bring them back together again. And it wants to be whole. So there is a high chance that for whatever purpose they are used for will go wrong.
Yep.
I can see Martin nodding.
I mean, if we can avoid using them, I would avoid using them entirely.
Nope, exactly. But they are great bargaining chips.
The other thing that I'm confused with.
The thing is, for what purpose? What do we want to happen, or not want to happen?
Hugin, bigger than what we've got. Hugin.
Yes.
Staff.
We have plenty. We actually have quite a lot of wealth to buy an inn.
No. We're just thinking about like the fate of the lower races.
Exactly. We are
maybe we can negotiate with the good dragons to take these things and F off.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I am. The axioms that we've currently got, they were mined from some deposits in the cave where...
No.
I knew I was wrong.
No, so the axioms that we have are the soul of a primordial being that was broken into shards.
Right. Okay.
Basically, a something along the lines of the power of a being as powerful as a god, or more powerful.
Primordials are basically godlike power. They just don't interfere in mortal affairs generally in the same way as gods do, which is what the separation is.
So a godlike being was basically broken into pieces, and that is the axioms.
Was in somewhere or other harnessed in this machine from the sounds of it and broken into pieces.
Now, if it came back together again, whether it would just say, "Look, I'm buggering off. I don't want to deal with you again," or "I'm going to take revenge and destroy your entire world,"
which is more like
Yep.
Well, at that point, then Well,
It's a bit risky. I'm not really willing to toss a coin on that one.
The thing is, right, is if a primordial is the same as a god, then surely the gods of the lesser races, the dragons and what have you, will step in and go, "Wait, no." I mean, that's more on the cosmic level than a planar level. So hopefully, as long as the dragons call us, the lower races have been very good boys and girls every single year, then maybe the gods and goddesses of our plane that look after us, that we worship, that we send offerings to, would actually step in and go, not anytime soon, bucko. Bugger off, and off you go.
The problem is that the gods, powerful as they are, work through mortal instruments, and there are good reasons for that. There are rules that they have to follow, because otherwise there would be a war of the gods in our world, which would destroy everything.
I get that, and that's exactly what I'm saying, though. If the primordial wants to do this, then it's going to start something of a level that is way above us anyway, and the gods and goddesses should step up and go, no.
Yeah, well,
because we have been faithful to them.
The Sun Ring would look like a a wet fart in comparison to a bunch of gods letting rip.
A war between
a bunch of primordials and gods. It would just be. It would. I mean, the world would be destroyed.
Well, my other question is these axioms, and I might be simplifying it a little bit, but these axioms, they're not that big. If we stick them all together, the primordial isn't going to be that big. You can hit it with your axe. I mean, he might be slightly sprightly because he's so small, but he's a little person. Even, I mean, Mugsy will look like a giant compared. Surely.
I resent this entire conversation.
Sorry, I'm just getting that episode of Buffy where they're all worrying about this demon being called, and when the demon's finally called, it's this tiny thing about the size of a mouse, and they stand on it.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So what we know is joining the axioms, not good. That's one thing that we don't want to do. We also don't want to wake up Morthrax and Parlona. Okay. We don't want that to happen. But conscientiously, I think it's unfair now that we know that we're drawing off of their life essence, or their not life essence, their immortality, to keep them safe. I think that's kind of wrong. But
it's interesting because I've just been rereading Vitas's letter, and he said the power here is gone, but enough energy remains in the rocks to keep the ice peaks in place for 1 billion years. So I'm not sure if that means that they're not currently drawing the magic from Morthrax and Parlona, and they're drawing it from the rocks.
No, I would say that, yeah, that makes more sense, doesn't it?
My feeling is that the ice shields were there to stop the voices of the dragons talking to the other dragons.
I think we need to ask. Sorry,
voices dimmed out.
Can I just say, is that the letter, Pete?
That's the letter, Vitas's letter to you if you are here.
Vitas's letter to you if you are here.
Yes.
All right. He doesn't mention Morthrax and Parlona. He doesn't mention.
Well, he does. He does. He said, well, not by name. He says, "Beyond lies good and evil in equal measure."
Okay. Now look at his notes.
Sorted notes. Next one down. Right. Sorry.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
So whilst Pete's having a look at that and everybody else, so I think we need to look into the Dragons' participation, because I'm pretty certain that they would have been asked for that amount of energy to be used unless you've got a divine-like person that just takes at will. I think the dragons were actually compliant in this.
Sorry,
Okay.
just hold on a second. Let me just hold on a second, Pete. So it's this one. It must hurt to have your divine power enslaved to maintaining something made by dwarf, even if that dwarf was one of the greatest magical theorists ever known.
There we
Yeah?
go. Yeah. Yes. So okay, so yes, so we are. So basically, Morthrax and Pylona are being used to maintain the ice.
Yeah,
wall.
and I think the ice wall is being used to stop them communicating with their dragons, which is why the other dragons, the voices dimmed out, and they were presumed lost, dead. So I think it's being used in a certain way to shield them from the rest of the dragons and stop their.
Yeah.
The thing is,
I took that off to one side. So I need to go back to what Rob was saying. So, Rob, you were saying. Sorry, Pete. We'll hold that thought. Yeah.
No, I mean, I've said everything that I can think of. It just seems to be opening in my head. It seems to be in my head. Twat. In my mind, it seems to be opening more questions that we don't have answers for. I can't see that the dragons were compliant in. I can only see that the dragons are compliant in this. Do we? And then what Christine said, I totally agree with as well. I and Reinhorn are actually of one mind at this moment, and I ain't got a foggy what to do, because I think the only thing that any of us could agree on is we don't have enough information.
And I think there's one other thing we've learned today, though.
Yeah.
Which is these planes. The planes align every 150 years or so, and that's not unusual. That isn't what caused the sundering. It seems to have been some other element that was happening about 1,000 years ago. And what was happening about 1,000 years ago was two dragons dancing for a year and a day. So maybe the dragons dancing, as well as the alignment of the planes, as well as many other things, were what all combined together to create the sundering.
Yeah, because didn't Beerman?
And not just.
Well, that was.
Didn't
Bowman.
That's it, Owlman. Didn't Owlman say that the ritual of separation went ahead, and then they did the ritual of realignment, and everything was okay, and the sundering came later. So maybe because the dragons were doing the dance, because they've already got the axioms in play, and the dragons were trapped, that in itself, so the magic's used to protect the old university, maybe that has caused was a under oversight, and that might have contributed to the sundering.
So you timing wise, you're saying that the dance of Morthrax and Parlona was 1,000 years ago. You're basically conflating those two. That's not what it says here. It says in this time dragons squabbled but never warred. Over time, the magical skills of the low races began to concern the dragons. The voice of Morthrax Parlona began to dim. So in other words, the dance of Morthrax Parlona was, well over 1,000 years ago. So it was well before this period.
Yeah, because basically, when abruptly 1,000 years ago, the voice was gone from the world, and all dragons
were
kin to have been lost to the sundering. So it could well be, because it says, Morthrax and Parlona danced for a year and a day, and then they descended coiled together and slept in the earth. Now, either they, I mean, it would be a bit of a coincidence that they happened to sleep in an area where they had these magical crystals. So either they picked the area because of the magical crystals, or they're drawing together the magic of the earth, and then sleeping in the earth created this magical crystals.
Definitely, that's what I think. Yeah, because it says that for a year, that's drawing the raw magical power of the earth to them. So yeah, they created the crystals that were then used against them. So it would suggest that they danced together, descended into the earth, drawing together all this magic which created the magical crystals. Doldoram came along, used these magical crystals to draw power from other dimensions.
Yes.
That, in combination with the conjunction, opened planar portals to the evil dimension because they noticed that their power was all the way.
Yep.
And caused the invasion. At which point, the magical theorists at Doldoram, well, one of them was a dwarf who created the ice wall round it. I'm not sure if that's the same one who summoned a primordial and split them apart to create the axioms. To power the machine, which then caused the sundering.
So, Garvis, are you saying it's all the dwarfs' fault?
Hearing that.
It's that
I'm pretty certain.
Dwarf.
I'm pretty certain that's where you're getting to.
I would blame the people of Doldoram who basically didn't understand where the power they were using was coming from.
Right, okay, so that makes that a lot clearer.
That particular dwarf actually came up with a solution to the problem.
Right.
Great
so
hero.
all hail the dwarfs.
Great scholar.
Yes. That's what some might call him.
Well,
Lero, on the other hand.
Or he or she. I don't know if it mentions.
So the only other question that I've got for everyone then is we can't stay in the Temple of Torm all night and the rest of the week.
Nope.
Really don't want to go to Lord Arax's guest house. So find lodgings.
Wait. So can we examine the problem from one other angle?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who all wants the axioms?
Sorry, who wants what?
Wants the axioms?
So far, you know that Araxis wants the axioms because he wants to free Morthrax Parlona.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You also know that She of a Thousand Faces and the Cult of the Black want the axioms because they want to break them open and free the Black.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know that's a definite.
Yeah.
You don't, beyond those two groups, you don't know, but you suspect that there are other people who would be very interested.
I would certainly be very interested in the vast amounts of power that they could potentially.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
these things are basically nuclear warheads in your backpacks. That's effectively
the political
what they are.
powers of the world, if they knew. So all the kings and kingdoms, if they knew. And
it's actually, by the way, only one kingdom, which is the Dwarf Kingdom.
Yeah. Then what about the gods? They be interested?
I can ask.
And
Ask.
fair enough. And by the way, that might be a solution in itself. However,
Well, it would certainly be. Yeah.
Except for the Deus Ex Machina of the whole thing.
Yes.
What I'd like to say is we have only told one group of this.
Well, the dwarves know because
okay.
And we.
Right, Shappy. Did you not
sorry.
cancel your
So
sub?
the dwarves know. We have told a few.
I've been on holiday, mate. I've been doing little bits and pieces. So
the elves know. Yes.
Yeah.
What about What about a little bit of a
as you know full well. So yeah. Oh, mate.
What if we go back to the house you're supposed to stay at, and somebody casually mention where we've hidden the axioms, and let's see what happens.
Hey, Try Some Right. Thank you very much for the follow. Let me just turn the volume back up on these
Just
people.
wondering whether we go back at all.
The
thing is, we started off on this because demons wanted to, had taken one of these axioms.
I would say they're another group.
Yeah,
they're definitely another group, but how concentrated they are as a group or how diffuse, you're not entirely sure.
Yeah. I mean, that could be one demon that basically, wanted to. I mean, it wasn't a particularly powerful demon. It was to us at the time because we were like level 1 or 2.
I think he was probably like primordial strong. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
So there's definitely two. There's definitely two demons that you've had to deal with, that you know of that you've had to deal with directly. Because there's Alicia, and there's also Apatas as well.
we have our resident wizard could get us out of this city, and away. If we think it's too dangerous here, if we think Lord Araxus is he's an ancient gold dragon.
Oh yeah,
more powerful than we could contend with.
Is there any chance?
How about this? We do both. So we go back to the house.
Mm-hmm.
One of you guys mentions about, hey, we should probably check on where we put those axioms at where somebody we don't like. And then we take off out of town and then see what happens. We'll hear about it later and we'll be gone.
Cracking plan. We could say we buried them in Jaegers.
There you go.
That'll teach that motherfucker for kicking us out. Little shit.
Did we actually show them to Lord Araxus or not?
No. So did what? Sorry.
Did we actually show Lord Araxus?
He seemed to know that you had them.
Ah.
Mm. And he didn't kill us right there.
He is still a good dragon.
Okay, but
why would he kill you?
Little low races.
Especially if he can get us to do what he wants us to do.
I think there's possibly another conversation that needs to happen. And just because he's the only one that was probably back there at that time, what do you think? Or have we solved it and we're moving on to something else?
No, we could have another conversation. We could see what he has to say for himself.
Mm. Do we tempt that particular fate by carrying the goodies back in front of him, or do we just send a rep?
Yeah, maybe only take a couple,
chat.
And then not have the axioms on them.
I mean, honestly, I don't want to leave him anywhere.
With us, so we send a couple of folks to go talk to him. Preferably someone like me who's not going to piss him off, or I'm sorry. As a player, I'm laughing at my own self. Some of Garvis, maybe I don't know, Tyra, one of you smart folks. Go talk to him. The rest of us will get ourselves to where we're hidden away somewhere a little bit, with the assumption that the dragon can't just fly into the air and see where they're at and go after it.
But if something happens to those two, how would we know?
They don't come back in a certain amount of time.
Okay, and then what do we do?
Run like hell.
Okay.
But
sucks
how are
to
you
be
going
the
to do
two
that? You've got small legs. Oh, you'll get a carry, won't you?
Well, yeah, you're right. There's only the only way of guaranteeing them is the fact that they don't have the parts that are being looked for.
I mean, if we could find somewhere and given enough time, I could put a... Can I? Actually, can I do that? I don't know. I think I'm just making stuff up now as we go along. But I think Alira might be able to put a ward on something. If we could get another copper box, similar to what we've got the axioms in, so it looks identical, we can then put an alarm ward on it so that when the area is disturbed, Alira knows. In which case, we don't have to use any one. And of course, if the Great Dragon decides to levitate and bugger off, and he's not around for a day, then we know that potentially he might have actually gone for it. So there's an alteration to your plan there, Mugsy. What do you think?
I'm back to being really interested in why this creature let us into his presence and let us leave.
Because you didn't steal anything.
Not that he knew, but I mean, the are we maybe turning down the only friendly face? I don't know. Or is there a way? Go ahead.
It's interesting you mentioned about the symbol. Is it worth checking with Shanti and see whether she's aware of this other person?
Well, is there? So we've got multiple gods involved here, and we've got a lot of priests in our group. Is that another solution? Is there a way we can push these things out to another plane that are being protected by someone more powerful than us?
It would seem to. I mean, I don't know. It would seem that Vitas and his friends would have thought of that option at the time.
Maybe we're smarter than them. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've just thought of, which has nothing to do with the topic of conversation, is the axioms. If we were to use them, how much more powerful could we get with it? I know after putting it, I have to put in the sea one in, the water one inside me. I know what I can do straight away. But surely, if they're from a primordial and it's a primordial soul and they're that powerful, maybe we need to unlock more things from them. Now,
listen to me. The power that is involved in these shards comes from a being that still has a will that is much greater than yours. We saw what it did to a being who had the axioms in her for a long time. She was driven insane. And yet, as a group, we could still beat her. And she had that axiom for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I get that, Garvis.
So I suspect that the only way to unlock more power would be to lose your mind to them.
But I get that, Garvis. But I also see a steady-handed dwarf unlocking a cage door and releasing a foul, evil being for no apparent reason. So, you know, I'm not throwing blows here, Garvis. I understand what's at stake, but could it be? I think we need to maybe try and I don't know how. I need your help, everyone's help, but I think we need to research this more, especially the axioms, because if there is more power to be had and we can utilize it for the briefest of moments.
The power for its own purpose is meaningless.
Well, Illyria was wearing it. Illyria was wearing it for a good few months. She had it in her all the way from the pyramid.
Would you?
No, Garvis, you need to. Garvis, you need to listen. Garvis, you need to listen, right? You were wearing it for God knows how long. You've managed to take it out, and then you decided not to put it back in. That's fine. Illyria, exactly the same. Used it for months whilst we were on the road, you know, and then took it out. Don't see any negative effects. What I'm talking about is researching, finding out if there's more to be had from them. If there is, shortest of time, very short. I mean, you've had it in you for months, and you're not displaying any signs that would concern me.
I have not had it in me for months. As soon as the problem occurred is as we gathered them together, they became more vocal.
Yes, that's true.
One on its own was not making any.
That's true.
Not making any problem, and two were fine as well. Once we got three together, we could start to hear the whispers.
Yes.
And the whispers got louder the more we got together. We now have all of them.
Yes.
So but now, if I were to put let's say I were to put the axiom in, and then I were to say to you, no effects whatsoever, but I've actually been taken over by the axiom. How would you know? And then I murder you in your beds, steal the rest of the axioms.
Then you get lots of gold, and you get the whole inn all to yourself, and you've got all the axioms.
After that speech.
And yeah, you can pretty much do what you wish. I'm not saying you've had it in for. I'm saying, you know, the one on its own. At the moment, we can't hear them whispering because they are in the boxes.
Yes.
So if one released on its own is manageable, why can't we use one?
Here's my question. Do you want power so much that you are willing to risk your mind and soul for it? What purpose is this power for you?
Me?
Is it gold? Is it domination over the world? I fight for the liberty of beings. I don't need external power to do that. And the risks, to my mind, are far worse than the potential for power. Power that you think you might use for good, but is seducing you to evil. I think the risks are terrible. I just don't see it worth it. I mean,
let me just jump in. Sorry.
When I was using the axiom, I got a little tougher, a tiny bit tougher. That was it. That was all the power it was. And to risk my soul for that, I just no way.
Okay, John, you're saying?
I'm just going to say a couple of things. So first of all, you know that those people who did keep them within them over extended periods of time, power grew and grew and grew. But you also know that all of those people lost their mind. You know, for example, that Vitas clearly struggled with his grip on reality. It seemed to have extended his lifespan. Yeah, even though he was adjacent to it rather than actually, you know, he took it out from within himself later. But it clearly extended his lifespan at some point, or at least you're assuming it's the axiom that did so, because he seemed to live a lot longer than a halfling should. which is wonderful because they all seem to live much longer lives than you would have expected, right? That you're aware of so far, the people who have wielded the axioms, and they've gained power as a result of doing so, but at great personal expense. You know, Amra was not able to remove it in the end. She couldn't take it out, right?
Mm.
She didn't have the will to be able to do so. So she was stuck with it inside her, and it was controlling her. You know that, right? It was controlling her at that point. You know that it drove Vitas mad. I mean, you read some of his writings. He was clearly insane. Clearly lost all touch. Yeah. So
Get all that.
The power grows. There's no question the power grows and grows and grows. But with it comes huge risk.
Yes.
So
really quick,
I turned
before
to
everybody jumps
Garvis.
in,
Sorry.
real quick, before everybody jumps in, just wanted to get my little 2 cents. I've only heard a couple of actions proposed, right? I heard an action from Delira, which was following something that I lost track of. And then the other was to commit ourselves to research somehow. Are there any other actions?
Shanta asked us to go and visit her. She's asked us to go. She's asked Delira to go and visit.
Then why don't we commit ourselves to at least an action?
Mm.
What's that? Sorry. So what was that again?
Who's asked the Lyra to go and visit? What?
Shantia.
Has she?
Well, she's asked all of us to go back, especially the mage. That was last week, and I did tell everyone. Not last week, the week before. Yeah, not last week. The last week of gaming. And I did mention that.
3 weeks ago.
Also, I seem to remember a couple of weeks ago it was dropped into the conversation that I think my aunt's in the city, isn't she? In this city that we're in.
Yes,
indeed she is.
Yeah.
So that is.
So
that might be.
So there's another action
about Lord Araxis. Find out a bit more about him.
Yeah, that's good.
Action,
so,
yeah.
Without
some actions right
without
there.
aggravating people, okay. I just want to get it clear in my head. Are we wanting to put the world back, or are we wanting to leave it as it is?
I don't think we know.
I think we leave it as it is, because putting the world. I mean, what I don't even know what putting the world back even means. I mean, the Sundering caused massive upheaval to the land. If we were to restore it back to what it was, you've effectively just done another Sundering.
And do we even know what it was before the Sundering?
Well, obviously the magic was different, but I mean, I think cities were lost, things were flood. You know, the coast changed, mountains rose, land fell. You know, biblical stuff basically.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't know.
That's happening again. That sounds bad.
Doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
Is the world so awful that we now that we now live in?
Exactly.
That we want it to change so drastically?
Now, the low races seem to be doing decently.
Yeah.
So we got some actions. Go talk to an aunt. Go talk to Shantia. Do some research. Maybe part of that. And what was the other thing?
Shantia's quite way away, isn't she?
Shantia's still in the mountains, isn't she? Back at her.
Yeah, she's a bit further, a bit of a distance.
Right. I was going to.
I do have a
John.
method of transport though that might help.
Sorry, Rob.
I was going to whisper, John, but I'm just going to ask it outright. Yeah. Okay, so that everybody can actually hear. Right. So I've been taking note of things that are happening in the Dwarven Kingdom. I'm also hearing notes of what was happening in Jaegers. The Baron said it's bad enough, all the shit that's going on at the moment without you, Mugsy, putting your crap onto us. You're expelled.
The Baron.
Basically.
You mean Rostam?
The boss man, right? So geographically, my question is, since we've basically been going off and doing our little adventuring and what have you, does it feel to Reinhorn that geographically things are changing not for the better throughout the whole of Zarkamar?
there is no question that there has been a deterioration in certain aspects of things, most notably around the dwarves and the dwarf kingdom. Okay, there's been an improvement within the dwarf kingdom in the day-to-day lives of certainly the seafaring dwarves have improved, because for some reason all the pirates suddenly disappeared, which has really significantly improved the situation. Nice one, Mugsy.
We didn't get paid for that. We did not get paid for that properly.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And,
Think about all those wanted posters for those pirates. I mean, that must have added up to a pretty penny we didn't get there.
Exactly.
And you burnt them all.
Admittedly, we didn't bring back any bodies to...
Yeah, well, there's that.
yeah.
So,
as a large smoking crater, yeah. So that has actually improved, but the situation. Sorry, so let me finish.
Yeah.
So the situation has significantly deteriorated in the Dwarf Kingdom because of these attempts on the king's life and all the rest of it. But actually, in other places, the situation is pretty much as it's been for quite some time. It's been peaceable. Certainly for the last 40 to 50 years, things have settled down a lot. And since Rostam took over in Yagas, which was about sort of 15 years ago, and one of his former adventuring companions is actually the Sultan of Bishbulak. So she's in charge of Bishbulak, and it's Bishbulak that sort of controls that area around Yagas as well. Mm-hmm. Actually, there's been quite a lot of moves over the last sort of 20 years or so to basically for peaceful cooperation between Sharanav, Bishbulak, Khazar, and Sultanabad, and then onwards with the dwarves and with the sea elves. And actually, the situation has improved significantly just recently in the last few months, because a lot of the bad things that were happening in Tagul, it seems like the stranglehold of the gangs in Tagul has been broken, and Sultanabad has been able to exercise an amount of control over Tagul that they weren't able to do previously, and actually the people of Tagul have welcomed that, and Tagul is now flourishing in a way that it wasn't before. And that seems to be something to do with the fact that one of the most extreme leaders of one of the gangs was finally taken out. Can't think who did that. So the news on the wind is that the situation in Tagul has improved significantly. And the city-states have been improving their interaction and their trading and the general way they deal with one another. And a lot of the petty squabbling and the outbreaks of minor skirmishes and even war, sort of a few hundred years ago, where often these places were at each other's throats, have really improved. So actually, the world is generally in a fairly good state. That doesn't mean there's not issues and there's not incursions. The dwarves are the ones who are suffering the most at the moment. But even there, the lives of day-to-day lives of the average dwarf have actually slightly improved as a result of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to bear in mind is that it's not like the dwarves are invading anyone or anything like that. They basically just closed the doors and said, "Look, we've got got shit to deal with, right? So please go away while we deal with our stuff."
Even so, they've never been like that before. The dwarves have always been taciturn but welcoming, and that's concerning. Anyway, what we'll do is, if it's all right, is we'll take a quick break and we'll come back in 5 minutes. We'll come back at 9 o'clock.
Indeed.
Is that all right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
In fact, not the last one. Close, but not last.
The stream off of Be Right Back because I just saw I just saw Pete stuffing his face, and I thought that would be awesome. But we missed it. Shucks. But peeking in from the side there, we've got the lovely and delightful Christine. But we won't tell Mugsy that. Sorry, we won't tell Anthony that that you came on camera quick. So normally, folks, on stream, this is where we're chatting on Discord without you guys actually hearing and things like that. So I thought I'd bring you into a little bit of the behind the scenes so you can actually see what we do, which is normally like picking noses, rolling them, flicking them, or yeah, no, we don't eat them. That's just wrong. Yeah, give it good. But yeah, so I'm on a Jaffa benefit bar because
don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Oh yeah.
Hello and welcome back.
Are you back, Anthony?
Yay.
Anthony, can't hear you. Anthony?
Yeah, I hear you.
Right. Anyway, so lots of consideration. Lots of thoughts and lots of ideas. So what actions are going to come out of this? Pete, you're still muted. Oh.
Sorry.
I tried to tell him.
Yeah, no, she did. She did. I think we should go and see Elira's aunt.
Yep, let's do it.
Impartial, love it. Maybe we can stay there tonight.
Yeah, if she would let us.
She might put us up.
Well, I really don't want to. I really don't want an ancient old dragon to hear me farting in bed. Thank you. I'm getting a little bit paranoid about it.
How much do you think that the ancient dragon farts, given that it's ancient?
Well, if we got a bit of a gale outside, maybe a lot.
If I remember right, Delira's aunt was good looking.
Yes, very good looking.
Stunning, in fact. Stunning, in fact. Yes.
Yeah,
Stunning.
you particularly loved her backhand.
So do we think that Elira's aunt is actually a silver dragon?
Oh gosh.
Is anyone thinking?
No.
Well, I wasn't up until this point, but okay.
So does that mean that Elira's then part dragon?
Plot twist.
Show us your tongue, Elira.
Elira's actually half dragon.
Oh, yeah, that would be a surprise.
We thought she was a wizard all this time. She's been a sorcerer.
I knew it. Very good.
Based on the issues between having an axiom and sources of ancient magic in close proximity, has anybody? Are we how big a range? How big a stick do I need for my backpack? Now that I've got one of each.
Yeah, the fact that casually in your backpack are these two enormously powerful magical items, just sort of going tink, 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 tink. As you walk along,
It was awesome.
you know, one of them is incredibly powerful because it's part of a primordial, and the other one is will power a city. So you know the latent energy that's sitting there. You're like, now I know what that is.
Yeah.
They're in Ghostbusters, We're running around the city with unlicensed nuclear particle accelerator.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I never actually thought about it until you just mentioned it, Martin.
Yeah, you turn around and there's a poof.
I thought about that a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the way that you get rid of the axioms. What you do is you put them in a little pile, and you put the cube next to it, and then you just sort of from a distance.
From a distance, yeah. I think Mugsy's best at shooting, isn't he? So I think the rest of us will stay We'll stay well away.
Even further back.
By a good
What's the range?
500
What's the range of a
miles.
short bow?
120. No, yeah.
Not quite as good as the range of a longbow.
That's for sure.
Mm.
Ah,
Oh, just so
Okay.
just so everyone's aware, we do have a potential alternate form of transport in for future if we want to get somewhere more quickly.
oh.
Oh.
We can turn into I can turn us into gaseous form, at which point we've got for 8 hours, which gives us a 300-foot flying speed.
Really?
Oh, wow.
300-foot flying speed.
Yep.
It's less gaseous form and more bullet, isn't it? That is really quick.
You can't do it. You can't do anything in that. You
Doesn't matter.
You
can
go
dash.
against the wind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just require a minute to transform, at which point you are basically incapacitated. But
Yeah, but I mean that's awesome for
Your
escaping.
gaseous form, so you can pass it through anything that's like tiny.
mm,
So if we did want to go to the machine, which is, a
Way
flying away, we could we could go to Shantia's place and then head off from there.
Lickety
That's
split.
insanely powerful. I love that. That's really good.
there's
Yeah.
up to 10 willing creatures. I have
I
seen
wonder
this. I
what
have
the-
seen this used on the Critical Role used this spell, but unfortunately it was used at the wrong time, and it made combat absolutely impossible.
So I wonder what the
okay.
300 feet per second, yeah?
No, 300.
300-foot flying speed, yeah.
300 feet
Which
per
means you can
round.
dash.
So that's
around.
Yeah.
And you can dash.
3,000
Around 6
feet.
seconds.
3,000 feet
A
per
minute.
per minute.
A minute. Yeah.
50 feet
3,000.
per second.
30,000.
So
You're really doing the math.
yeah.
I'm trying.
That's
I
basically
failed.
35 mile an hour.
Oh, okay. 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's pretty decent.
Which is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean it's a fast running speed.
hmm
But not quite a bullet, but
No, but it's still pretty quick.
well, the thing is, you can do it for 8 hours, so that's most of a day. Most of a day anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
1,440,000
Then you stop, you can set
feet.
up camp, and do it again the next day.
Mhm.
Straight over the mountains. Don't worry about those.
No. No, exactly. So that's 200. That's basically 270 miles a day that you could cover.
Yeah.
Using that.
Yeah. So
That's
based
a
on
long way.
so hang on, based
That's
on
a
the map.
really long way.
Yeah, based on the map and where we think that question mark is,
Mm-hmm.
how many days would that take us to get there at that speed from, say, Shantia's house?
From Shantia's, because you can basically fly over,
Hmm.
yeah, you could probably do that in a day
Wow.
because you're not having to pick your way through the mountains or anything like that. You're in gaseous form. You don't have to breathe.
Yeah.
It's
Don't worry about
nice.
cold or weather or anything like that. Yeah.
No.
Forget camels.
I've already forgotten about them.
We don't need no stinking camels anymore.
Nice.
That is excellent.
Camels? Where
I
we
love it.
go. Need camels.
8 camels.
Right.
And the cool
Okay.
thing about that is you could get up to altitude and kind of going sideways, go
Mm.
over the mountains, and then when you see the place below you, you can kind of go, there it is, and just dive down to where it is.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could do one even better. However, I need to find out how to make something a designated sanctuary.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, there we go. Right, so
isn't that a consecration ritual? Consecration.
Now the question is:
Yeah, it's a ritual,
has Shantia stroke villain's abode been consecrated by Shantia?
Good question. You don't know.
I could transport us. Sorry, Martin. I could transport all of us like that.
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah.
One action. I think up to you and 5 wooden creatures within 5 feet of you instantly teleport to a previously designated sanctuary. You and any creatures that teleport with you appear in the nearest unoccupied space of the spot you designated when you prepared your sanctuary. I've got to prepare it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a. Yeah, you must think by casting this spell within a location.
Think about halving back to an inn in any
in any MMO. Yeah. So I've got to actually cast the spell.
To a nation.
Yes. Yeah, that's basically what it's saying. Designate a sanctuary by casting this spell within a location. So we'll need to think about where our central location would be, so that we can move about after doing whatever we need.
So Illyra's just posted her version, which is much more useful.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So basically, anywhere we go, as long as she makes note of the teleportation circle, then we can go. Then she can teleport us back there.
Just jump through
within a minute. It's not as fast as yours, but
no, that's just the casting time. I mean, I would say that the travel is still. I mean, it's a round. It says so. It is equally as fast. It just takes slightly longer to do.
10 minutes to cast, yeah. So it's not like not something you'd cast in combat.
No.
But, you know.
Well, unless we lock her in a room and go, right, you do your portal there, and then we'll keep everything off of you.
Well, I mean, there are a couple.
I'll need to just rethink a couple of those destinations.
Yes.
Based on that spell, I hadn't read the spell. You see.
Yeah. That is brilliant.
We'll talk about that.
Circle in the Jaeger's temple, for example.
Yeah, there is in the temple in Jaeger's. There is a teleportation circle.
Yeah.
You can learn that one, no problem at all.
So you might want to find one here that you can memorize, just so then you can lock down this city as a destination. That would be helpful.
Did we find one in Tagul?
Was there one in the temple here in the city?
So Sharanav has where Jaeger's has a temple that is shared.
Yeah.
Amongst all the kind of the common good gods, Sharanav has individual temples. So in your case, you know, if you wanted to learn the Tormite one, you could do, but you would need access to it. It's not publicly accessible.
Is there a publicly accessible one then?
Not that you're aware of, no.
Okay. Can I? Well,
not that's obvious.
If I vouch for her, then can we get access to the?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Let's try.
Okay. Let's go do that first.
Okay.
Let's get out of this room.
Lock down this as a destiny.
Yeah. What about?
We'll go. Well, we're already in the temple. We haven't left.
So we haven't left yet.
Write that one down. That's one that you've got locked in.
Right.
Doesn't count against your other two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is one we've acquired while adventuring.
That's right. You've acquired it right now, so that's fine.
Very good.
Okay. Good. So you're going to go and see Anher and Kazemi.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So she's actually staying in a townhouse, which isn't very far from where you are. You're actually on the north. You actually have to come out the north side of the square. So you've been going to the south side of the square and off to the east, but now you have to kind of go north. And again, it's that main drag that sort of connects the square north and south and back to the down to the main gate. And you head up the street there, and there it is a series of very large houses lining the street. There are also some businesses and so forth. And you've been tipped off as to where she is, and you just walk a few hundred yards up the street, and it looks very, very special. This place. It's a beautiful home. It's a townhouse, so it's in amongst a bunch of others, but it is effectively kind of standing on its own. It's quite a tall building, 4 stories, much taller than most of the other buildings in this city. It stands out quite noticeably.
Does it have
Very
weird
ornate.
area effects,
Does it have weird area effects?
like around the Gold Dragon's place?
No, it doesn't. No.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
But you do note that, of course, that Anher and Kazemi lived in an area in Sultanabad that was much like the area where the dragon lives in Sharanav. In that area is, beautifully green with lots of ponds and pools and little streams and all beautifully landscaped.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, let's knock on the
So
door.
you literally just walk up to the door, and Illyra takes the lead, and she just knocks, and the door opens, and there's a familiar face at the door. It's Kazemi's personal assistant, and he looks at you, and he bows. Come in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Don't remember his name, but his name, her name,
His name.
his name.
That's no, because I didn't tell you one.
Wasn't it
Yeah.
Gopher?
So as you walk in, you see there's a kind of a flurry of activity at the back, and some doors that are then closed. This way, he says, and he walks down the corridor, and you can hear kind of various people doing things at points, and he leads you up this fine flight of stairs onto the next floor up, first floor, second floor, depending on which country you're from. and into this large lounge, ornate lounge, beautiful furniture. It's relatively cool in here as well compared to the outside, although the windows are closed. You think there must perhaps be some magic employed. And your aunt sees you coming up the stairs, and stands immediately and comes over and embraces you, Illyra. She just embraces you. And you can see that this look on her face of that she is overwhelmed to see you. I mean, she's an elf at the end of the day, and not very demonstrative with her feelings, but she's obviously, this is deeply affecting. And she stands back with her hand, puts her hands on your shoulders, and looks at you, and smiles.
She puts her hands on her shoulders.
On your shoulder.
Oh, on my
Your shoulders. Her hands on your shoulders, and she just smiles, and then she steps back.
Oh, she starts to
It
do
warms
like
my heart to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great to see you too.
And you, Mugsy. Welcome to my home, my temporary home.
I give her a little bow.
And there was me thinking
bows in
Anthony was
return.
trying to do the Y, and I did the M.
Come, sit. Refreshments?
Would be
Yes.
nice, thank
Yes,
you.
please.
Mm.
She nods at the assistant, and he ghosts off to go and fetch some things.
Okay.
So, what brings you to Sharanav?
It's interesting. Can we? Are we private to talk here?
You feel like a cloak has been placed over the room. It's like almost like the curtains have been drawn, even though they haven't. Yes.
Thank you. What we have to discuss is sensitive. You wouldn't want prying ears or eyes to be watching. So, I don't know if you remember or recall much of our previous conversation. I'm sorry, John. I'm trying to remember back. I think we did tell her about the axioms, didn't we? Or tell her we
I
were
think you did, yes.
We did. I didn't hide anything from her.
Yeah.
So yes, we did. Definitely.
So, the subject we were discussing last time, we have acquired all of the pieces. And now the question arises of what to do with them.
And what advice have you received so far?
So, when we came to the city, we've spoken to two people so far. The first we spoke to was Lord Araxis, who I believe you are.
She just puts her hand up to silence you immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And you cut off.
Don't say the name.
And you feel that kind of blanket. The Lord. I understand. We shall not repeat its name. You've spoken to it.
Yes. The last part we acquired from an institute to the west, which I believe was a former lair of the Lords. And when we came to the city, knowing their identity, we may have made a mistake in informing him that we had all
Why?
these.
You told him.
We did. We also told him another piece of information which he was most interested in, which was, and I'm not sure how much of you are aware of dragon law.
A little.
That during our adventures we had found Morthrax and Parlona. Sealed beneath the earth.
The dragon's ancestors. The ancestor god. So it wants them freed.
That is what we believe, yes.
It thinks it can make a deal.
Now, one thing
What
we
did you
have
say?
Well, we said that we were looking to find the ancient machine used in the Sundering. And the Lord directed us to speak to the Magister at the palace, who also seemed very concerned about being viewed or listened to in our conversation. But they told us something which we did not know, which was that the alignment of the planes on its own is not likely to cause an invasion of demons. And so
Indeed.
I think the original purpose, which we had acquired the axioms, we now maybe believe that although the plane walls have been weakened due to the conjunction, that a full-scale invasion of demons may not be imminent. So activating the machine with the axioms is probably not in our best interest, although, as we understand it, he believes that there were multiple functions of the machine. So that we do not know. What we do believe is that Morthrax and Parlona are probably best to stay where they are.
That is wise.
And that awakening them, especially to use the axioms to awaken them, would be most unwise. We believe their power to be far too willful. The will is still present within them, and when they're gathered together, it grows stronger. Are you aware of their origin?
Only in the most basic of forms that.
I must interject. We may have company. I heard something.
You heard something.
I heard something down behind us.
You're concerned? This house is secure. You need not concern yourselves.
One moment. I'm going to pull out my lantern.
Might be wise to just confirm, double check
All right.
before we go any further.
Yep. As you do that, you unhood it and you flick it around the room just to see up, down, floor, and all around.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. And the assistant comes back up with a tray and looks at you, looks at her, looks at you, shrugs his shoulders and puts the tray down. It's a large tray of some sort of little plates of snacks and some small drinks and so forth.
I lean into Delira real quick.
It reminded me of the Gloomweaver beach. Or that sort of experience.
Gloomweavers.
Sorry, what's a Gloomweaver?
Well, I'm not sure if they were speaking it, but they were the big bat things at the. They're demonic flying creatures utilized by
The Cult of the Black.
the Cult of the Black that have been we've encountered.
Gloomweavers are actually the elves.
The elves themselves.
Oh, they're the elves.
Yeah,
okay, right.
yeah. The creatures are the gloom. Something else. I can't remember.
I can't remember which way around it was.
Something or other. Yeah. Gloom wings. I can't remember. That's awful. I should look them up. Yeah.
Not seen any for a while, so.
No, that's true. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Lyra 42, Reinhorn 69. Nice.
Sorry, I need to just interject.
Mm-hmm.
So, Anthony, are you telling me that?
I whisper that to you.
Okay. So, just the key thing here is that if you are whispering anything in this room, it's quiet enough that it's likely if you start whispering something to someone else, as soon as you do, she stops and she asks you if there's a problem because
Okay.
Delira's just said there's a problem. I think we might have company. There might be an issue. Garvis has got his torch out, and then the guy comes up, drops the tray down, and then shuffles off out the room, sort of walks out the room looking confused as to what might be happening. And Erin Kazemi is just sat there, also looking confused.
Right.
And so anything you say at this point is going to be obvious. Even if you're whispering it, it's.
I was actually doing something else, so I didn't realise that was the same as what Delira had mentioned. So thanks for clarifying that. So Delira's an elf, so if she noticed it, then she would have understood what was being said. Maybe perhaps I'm thinking, but as she hasn't actually said anything, maybe she didn't hear it per se.
I'm sorry. Did we disturb you? Do you have guests?
No. My staff are downstairs. I employ people from all corners of Zarkamar, but
How about the
you're
roof?
concerned I should investigate?
I would, my lady.
No.
Last time we encountered these, they were very. It was not pleasant. If they are what we think they are.
Please, allow me. Just enjoy something to eat and drink. I shall be back.
I'm not touching the food. I'm not touching the wine.
No, I'm not.
She walks across. She walks across the room and through the door is open to the stairs, and you see her walking down the stairs, and you can see concentration on her face.
Okay, I'm looking at the window
Use that.
for egress.
Well, Pete, I was just thinking, do I want to get my mace out? Do I want to get my mace out and do the power of Grayskull on it? But if that
you're carrying your mace.
Yeah, so
we already established that, right?
Yeah, carrying a mace, unless I think that we're in the presence of fiends, but we're in the city, so if there's a fiend here, then I would like to know about it. Are we in the city? Yeah, we are in the city. Okay, yeah. So basically, I'm just going to for the minute that it takes, I'm going to hold it aloft, and I'm going to concentrate to see if I can sense any evil in the proximity. And now I'm going to have to look at.
So you're doing that. So Garvis, you don't get the sense that there's any undead celestials or fiends,
or any concentrated or desecrated areas.
Or any concentrated or desecrated areas. No.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Yeah. So you don't get that impression. Just checking.
So it's the same as detect evil good spell, but
Same. Oh, you got a detect evil spell.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, if Mugsy's mentioned about the guttural, then I don't think that's normal.
I whisper that to Lyra too, so that everybody's on the same sheet of paper.
Okay. So yeah,
they shut all those doors downstairs when we arrived. We were ushered carefully away from whatever's going on. Maybe there's another group that's interested in these particular artifacts.
The thing
Can
is,
you
silence
teleport
though.
us somewhere?
Yeah, silence is not penetrable though, are they? Or is it an
So in your
anti-scrying
case,
thing?
Rob, it's aberration, celestial, elemental, fae, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you. Yeah?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. Again, you're not getting that.
Problem
you
is,
guys know.
cultist elf probably wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. You know, as far as you were concerned, they were just weird pale elves.
See, that's the thing.
Very pale elves with pale white hair.
So this is where it gets interesting, because the perceived evil from the actual mace is by concentrating for 1 minute whilst holding the mace aloft, you momentarily perceive any evil within 60 feet. So as long as a person or creature is not evil, I will not perceive them.
Sorry, you're right. Just give me a second, because I need to look at that one.
But then it says this ability otherwise functions as the detect evil and good spell. So it has the same limitations as because we spoke about it. And the
just
utility
give me a
can be
second,
used.
because I'm just trying to remember.
I know, it's something I've not actually used that much of.
Yeah.
I'm just a little evil. Not all the way.
Oh, well, I'll pick you up then. Any evil.
So it functions as per detect evil and good. So in other words, the same things that thwart that detection also thwart this ability.
Yeah.
Again, detect good also only detects aberration, celestial, elemental, fae, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you.
Detect evil and good, yeah?
Or are magically concentrated or desecrated.
So so in this case, it's basically about, can you find any source of evil? So anything that's evil. And the answer to this is that you very quickly detect at the edge of your perception something evil, but it's a brief flash and then it's gone.
Okay. I'm looking out the window, John.
Okay, I'll tell
Is there
everyone.
120 feet to the ground outside?
120 feet? No.
I am.
It's about 15 feet out of the window to the ground.
Okay. I'm already ready to cast that portal thing the moment anything weird happens and have us all zip the heck out of here.
Okay, so you're stood by the window. You've got this mace held in the air, and then you hear something coming back up the stairs, and again, you've just got this distinct feeling as you've got this mace in the air. You felt the sort of this evil retreat, and then suddenly a door opens and closes, and this sense hits you, Reinhorn. And then Anherin Kazemi comes back up the stairs and comes in. She looks confused. Everything seems in order downstairs.
Whoa, hang on a second. Sorry.
Where's your aunt? Where's the aunt?
Right, so sorry.
I think I missed something. By the door. She's come up.
So the door opens, closes, and then Ant comes up the stairs.
Door downstairs open.
Okay.
Then you feel an evil presence. This is all part of the same moment, yeah?
Yeah.
You feel an evil presence, then she comes up the stairs.
And the aunt's behind her?
So sorry, the door opens downstairs, you feel the evil presence. Then
you hear downstairs a door open, yeah. And then you feel the evil presence.
Yeah. Okay. Then does the door close again and the presence go away?
No. But you only get the feeling of evil for a brief. It's only a brief impression, and then she comes up the stairs. All seems to be in order, she says. Hey, is everything all right? You're holding your mace.
By the power of
Is there a reason why?
You weren't supposed to see this. Sorry. I put the mace away.
Right.
So an evil entity, milady, has just gained access. And my learned, your beloved Mugsy, heard from behind the door but now it seems to have retreated to outside the door that you just opened and then came up the stairs from. It's out of my range, but there is definitely evil there.
Let me describe this again. I've got to describe this again. I'm
writing it down this time.
Here's what happens. Okay.
Yep.
You have your mace held aloft.
Yeah.
You get the first thing that comes to you is that there's an evil presence that's disappearing into the distance. Basically, where you're sat. Forward of you is the front of the house. Mugsy is stood by the window. Behind you is the rest of the house, the back of the house, whatever. And basically over your left shoulder, you perceive, just at the edge of your perception range, you perceive something evil just disappearing into the distance.
Right, so it's more at the rear of the house, not the front door.
Yeah, that's right, at the rear of the house.
Right.
At the same time, you hear downstairs a door open. A big, thick, heavy door opens. One of those doors that was closed when you came in. You hear that door open, and then your perception perceives by that door suddenly the presence of evil, which then your perception, that's your sensing, and your perception fades away. And then you hear her coming up the stairs.
That sounds like more than one source of evil then.
Yeah.
One that has gone away and one that was probably behind a thick, heavy door, and hence you couldn't detect it until the door was opened.
That's right. I don't know if I'm describing this very well.
No. I think I've got it. I think we've got it.
For me.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't think you have. Can you all make intelligence checks, please?
Right. So
I don't think you've got it.
Right. So what I've written down is there's an evil entity over my left shoulder to my rear, which is the rear of the house. Okay.
Yep.
Then a thick door opened, and then there was another evil presence at that thick door. Then the evil slipped away. It faded away.
No, then your perception faded.
Then my perception faded. Then perception.
Yes.
So I think Pete is right. There is two entities. The thick, heavy door, you said that we went past it, right? On our way up the stairs.
Yep, that was one of the doors downstairs, yep.
So, the front door...
Big, heavy doors, it's
okay, so...
stoutly made
we got met at the front door, then we went up the stairs. How many other doors were in between the front door and the stairs?
So you walked past a door on your left.
Door on left.
And then there was a door in front of you, just near the bottom of the stairs.
And is the door that was in front of us...
more around there.
Was the door that was in front of us, was that the thick, heavy set door that you're talking about?
They are both the same.
They're both the same. Right, okay.
Doors.
So we don't know... Yeah. Right, okay. So, in which case, I don't say... I think there was somebody at the front door and what have you. I keep completely stum and I start to fidget. I put the mace away and what have you, and I'm doing this not subconsciously. I'm doing this on purpose. I start to fidget, and I say to Garvis, I think the listening ears are all around us. Okay, and I start just looking and looking. I know that there's nothing in the room and what have you.
Delora is just sitting completely. All of you notice she's just sitting there, incredibly still.
Yeah, I think that's because her camera is actually frozen.
No. We know that Martin's got that talent for sitting there quietly, but just sitting there he's like a ninja. He's like,
And I look at Delira, and I'm like, and I start to actually show that sense of, well, I'm trying to portray a sense of unease, but without drawing too much of alarm, especially when Auntie walks into the room.
Yeah, Delira is looking very pale-ish, starting to look very uncomfortable.
And
Mugsy is still stood by the window.
Very still.
Yes, I am.
And when Auntie comes back into the room, I apologise for the mace, and I just say, I'm just overcautious with your niece. You know, I just wanted to make sure that everything was above board.
I understand,
and it's not, but I think she's safe. I know she's safe. She's safe. She's with you. She's with you.
She's safe. She's very much safe with me.
Yes.
But, as are you all.
But I still keep looking around.
I would never seek to harm you. I would always seek to ensure that you are kept safe.
Maybe we have become a bit paranoid in our lives, Our Lady. I'm just wonder if, in the spirit of honesty and transparency and taking care of us, that I don't know, guys, what are you feeling?
I think maybe this is such an important matter. Would you mind if we had a look around the house?
Seems like a strange request. You would like to peer into bedchambers, perhaps? And if it had come from someone else other than you, Garbus, I would consider that to be the strangest of requests. Of course, of course. Where would you like to start? I mean, through here?
I would say perhaps the servants' quarters.
Servants' quarters?
Servants' area.
They're at the very top of the house. Shall we go up?
No, let's, well, as we came in, we came past a couple of doors. Perhaps do we start there?
That sounds
Certainly.
good.
That's a joke, by the way.
Would you be upset if we killed your aunt?
I was joking, of course.
Oh dear!
It's her!
Coming.
Oh dear.
I'm worried that she's been replaced.
Sorry?
By someone. I'm worried she's been replaced.
Well, yeah, I'm going to keep my my instead of holding it aloft because I'm concentrating on it. Okay, I'm going to just keep it my mace, up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, do you have to hold it in the air to work for it to work or not?
I don't know. It says hold it aloft. I think that's the exact words.
Does it?
Yeah, holding the mace aloft.
But the point is, the thing you got to remember is that the use of that ability is brief. So basically, you hold it up in the air for a minute, concentrate, and then the thinking all sweeps into you, the feelings all sweep, and then you drop it. Yeah. So it's not like you're walking around with a kind of it's not like that. It's not like some kind of
because I thought that the
pingers in Alien or something like Aliens or something like that.
Well, because I thought that the rest of it was this ability otherwise functions as a detect evil and good spell, which has a 10-minute thingy, and I can use it twice per day. Basically, it means that I don't have to actually use the spell, which I can do as well.
You momentarily perceive any evil.
Yeah.
So the duration is momentary. The duration is, I mean, I would go 6 seconds. I would go with a 1 round duration, basically. Yeah, I didn't spell it out like that, but that's basically what I was thinking.
Right.
Okay?
In that case, the moment's gone, so I'm not carrying the mace aloft. I'm not carrying the mace aloft.
No.
The only other thing that I've got, it's a bit crap, really. The only other thing that I've got, if it only lasts for 1 round, is the detect evil and good, which won't detect evil, even though it says it in the name. It will just detect entities.
Got it. particular types of entity.
Yeah, which...
So she takes you downstairs, and so starting at the front door, she takes you into the room that's by the front door, and you see that it's a reception room. Unlike the very comfortable lounge upstairs, this one is much more formal. It's the sort of place where you might receive, guests, traders, other people like that. And she just sort of stands by the door and lets you look around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're happy, she sort of leads you out. She leads you to the large room at the with the door at the bottom of the stairs.
The ones with the heavy...
Yeah. Well, they're all heavy doors. They're all big, heavy doors. Yeah.
Yeah.
The walls are, pretty.
Okay.
I mean, the place is made mostly out of wood, but there's also stone, and there's metal bindings on the doors and so forth. Rob, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just want to. Okay, whilst we're having a look round, I'm going to discreetly get the compass out, because I'm the last one to have it, because it made me shout. And I'm going to concentrate on Illyra's aunt's name. And I'm hoping that the needle points directly to the aunt. Not away from it, not to one side, directly to the aunt.
You close your eyes and you concentrate, and she looks at you and she says, "What's that?"
I'm trying to find the... And I stop and I finish the concentration.
Is that Ancient's technology?
No.
It certainly looks like it. Why did you bring that here? You know those things are dangerous. Incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
You can attract demons with those things. You know that, right?
What's the compass telling me?
It's pointing straight at her.
Good. I close it and I pop it back in my pocket. I'm concentrating.
I'm sorry to insist on this, Reinhorn, but we can't have that in this house.
Then I'll
Those items
leave.
are dangerous.
Good
You shouldn't
day.
bring it
Bye.
here.
And I walk out the door.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Simple as that. I just turn around.
Walks out the door.
Bang. Gone.
You walk out the front
Fair
door,
enough.
yeah?
I walk out the front door.
We should probably go with him.
Yeah, probably a good idea. We'll take care of him. We'll settle him down and be back shortly.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Where are you staying?
Oh, we weren't supposed to say the guy's name. He's got a house.
With the Lord.
Oh, with the Lord.
Yep.
Be careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We may stay somewhere else. We're not sure yet.
Now stay safe and keep in touch.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anyway, so she by the door, and just in case, and she throws the door open, and you can see that there's basically what looks like a simple dining room beyond, and you can see beyond that there's a kitchen, a bustling kitchen, where people are preparing food. So it looks like you've got like a kind of probably like a servant's dining room, and then the kitchen beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay.
I'm sorry if we didn't get around every room.
No, that's understandable. We were probably just, we're just, jumping at shadows, I would imagine.
Lyra has said nothing at all.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Heading out.
All right, so you head out the front door, back out into the street.
Mm-hmm.
She actually takes you to the front door herself and then closes the door behind you.
Yeah, that was close. Okay. Everywhere in this town is like instant death, right? What the?
Let's go back to
Okay.
Risky.
So I'm kind of like out in the street going, where the fuck do I go now? It's like, I don't want to go there and I don't want to go there, and I fucked me like with her. Okay, and then the door opens, and I kind of like put on that thoughtative look that I have, where I'm just trying to make things up as I go along. You know, that concerned look, and I'm thinking, yeah. And as soon as the door shuts and everybody comes out, I'm like,
so I need you all to make perception checks as you're walking up the road.
Perception. Do.
Oh, for flip's sake.
Does it have to do with scent or anything like that? Anyway,
No,
Wow.
it
sight.
doesn't have to do with
fucked that.
eyesight.
Okay.
So you may make it with advantage. In other words,
Okay.
Didn't mean much good.
How's
worries.
how's Delira? I mean, is she walking normal or is she just very quiet? She's very pale.
Very quiet.
Is she still very pale?
Yep.
Okay.
Uncomfortable.
And
just
how
not
is
saying anything.
how is Elira?
Yeah.
She seems to be lost in a world all of her own as well. I mean, you know.
That's normal, though.
Okay.
Right.
So I
the
say
temple as quickly as reasonably
Yeah,
possible.
you hustle back to the temple, again, across the square. And, oh, that was me pressing a button. So you hustle back to the temple across the square, and you, the acolyte sees you coming through, basically hurrying in, and a look of concern on your face. And he immediately sees you making a beeline for that same spot, and he just looks around and he just shepherds you in there, and he walks in and he closes the door behind you.
okay. Is Elira pale?
This will be a place of safety for you, brother. You and your companions. You understand that? Please let me know as soon as you need me, and we'll take you to somewhere safe.
Thank you, brother. I think we may need you sooner rather than later. We seem to be surrounded by people whose motives are questionable.
You're safe here. As are you, brother.
Huh?
We'll give sanctuary to those who revere Joaquin. And then he turns and he
As
just
you
opens
should.
the doors and he walks back out again.
Thank you. See, Joaquin opens many doors. She's awesome. She's the best. She is the only one that I will ever put my faith and my love into.
So
I'm sorry,
you open
Garvis.
the door, you walk in, and then you close the door again.
And you walk in, you walk out. Okay, so Delira, let me get this straight. Sorry for stopping everything. So Delira is not talking and she's pale. Elira is
She's all right now, I'm assuming.
talking.
Yeah, a little better now.
Pale? No? Okay. So when I see that everybody's, I go, look, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. Elira, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have used the compass on your aunt. But I thought that maybe your aunt wasn't actually your aunt. But the compass told me it's either the compass is lying or it told me that it was. But she didn't like the thing in the house, so I thought best off just getting out of there.
That's fine.
It's the lesser of
Delira,
the evils.
You seemed very uncomfortable. What was the problem?
I believe Alira's aunt, or something posing as Alira's aunt, was the source of the. May have been the source of the evil in that building.
Reinhorn just puts his hands to his head and he's like, oh my God, I thought the same, but the compass, Delira, the compass, it pointed straight at her. And if it was like a disguise or something, oh no.
Could be possession, could be mind control.
Could be.
It's a bit coincidental that she's in the city as we're here.
With that, oh, I don't know.
Everything's a coincidence, remember?
Garvis, would possession change someone's someone's core alignment in such a way?
I couldn't say. Sure.
I've never heard of it. But if it...
So when you raised your mace, what did you sense?
Okay, so the front of the house was where the window was, where Mugsy was, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I sensed it was such a... It was literally just a flash. There was I felt two presences. One at the back of the house, so whatever was at the back of the house. Can't really tell whether it was up or down. And then when we heard the
It's moving away
door,
as well.
Oh, and it was moving away from the house. When Auntie, I think it might have been Auntie, opened the door at the bottom of the stairs, or someone opened the door at the bottom of the stairs. Which one of the two, or three, I don't know. And I caught a glimpse of evil, and then the mace decided to just go on holiday for a little while. The magic stopped.
Sense the one that was leaving, maybe gone to alert
whoever else.
We quite possibly followed here.
Yeah.
In that case, we should assume that we have been.
I tell you, Garvis, I tell you, everyone, Delilah, Mugsy, Illyra, I'm telling you now, since we've been in this temple having a chat, I'm so skittish. I'm thinking things that I normally wouldn't think, and I don't like it. I think at the moment everyone's out to get us. So how about we go to the nearest tavern, get absolutely wankered, and then tomorrow's a brand new day.
Yeah, it makes some sense.
No, it doesn't.
No?
Let's revisit
Alcohol
that plan.
always fixes everything.
Escorted out with another city under heavy guard, you know.
It causes the stuff up like we had in Jaeger's last time. Alcohol does not solve everything.
Yeah, but
It
to be
causes
fair,
problems.
Illyra, I did tell Mugsy not to overstretch his means, and he tried to portray a human, and it just didn't work. The spell wasn't right.
Let's try and keep Reinhorn and Mugsy away from the consecrated wine, shall we?
Fair enough.
They can
Okay.
have a think. There you go.
Um,
It might cleanse them as it goes down.
Okay. Well, on that bombshell, should we call it a night?
I think we shall.
I think we should. I mean, you can't get more
Very good.
than that. Wow.
And we shall pick up at this point next week.
Hanging on by our fingernails.
Yeah. We didn't even get
thanks,
to
John.
we didn't even get to any fights.
Oh,
Really?
Oh,
There
thank God
was
for
some
that.
temptation there.
Because, I mean, let's face it, D&D isn't about combat, is it, at all?
Yeah.
Nope.
Well,
It's all
maybe
about
next
RP.
week, get a bar brawl.
Not role playing.
Yes, it's all about role-playing. Circumnavigate those fights with our wit and ingenuity.
It is all slowly starting to come come together. All the different pieces.
The paranoia is descending.
It's definitely
on us.
descending.
I mean, you don't have any clones available. That's the only downside with the paranoia here.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, I
Go
think...
out and find arrows.
I think... Oh, someone's gone already.
Oh, no.
No, it's back.
I think that was unintentional.
Right, so now...
Hey, push the button again.
Now Delilah is GMing. Oh, no, now John's back.
Okay.
So for a fantastic night, by the way. Good RP there, Pete, with the old holier than thou paladin bit earlier in the temple. Absolutely fantastic.
Thou shalt not have truck with evil.
Well, I seriously, I was sat here going, okay, Pete. Okay. All right, Pete. I won't do it, Pete.
I've got to say, if you were in Lord of the Rings, you'd be like, give me the ring. Give me the ring.
Damn right.
Exactly, yeah.
Damn right.
Now you don't see me. Now you see me. Now you don't see me. Now you see me. Now you don't see. Those
Gollum?
floaty things when I put
Is
this on.
this a
Oh,
thing?
yeah, I know about Gollum. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Is this a thing where you get yelled at by Pete in every game?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
always.
Let's face it. It's Rob. He's bound to do something stupid of an evening.
Yeah.
It is
Good
me.
stuff.
It is me. But yeah, oh, crazy. So
Good
thank you
stuff.
very much, everyone. I'm going to finish the stream off, so I'm going to mute Discord. Okay, so I will see everyone for Zarkamar next Tuesday.
Not all.
Right, guys. So absolutely fantastic evening. Hopefully you guys will have enjoyed it. Shappy and also my new follower, which I've got to actually look at. I think I said it wrong earlier, but it looks like Tiresome Row. Tiresome Row. Or like that. Thank you very much for the follow. Really do appreciate it. Shappy, thank you very much for dropping on in. It's always a pleasure. Never a distraction with you, mate. And keep the sheep. So tomorrow we are going to, if you're liking the group dynamics at the moment, we've got the same group playing Court of Blades, which is similar to the Blades in the Dark that we did on a Wednesday night through GM of Wonders. But this Court of Blades, it's got a little bit more court intrigue, and they're not subtle in how they try and abuse the characters. Session 2. So feel free to drop on in. I think we start at 7 p.m. GMT, and we go through until 10 just after. Okay, depending on what everything is. So hopefully I'll see you all there. If not, we're live on Twitch at the moment. I will try and polish the video up, but although I don't think we made that many mistakes tonight, I certainly didn't. Well, actually, I think I did. But I think they were hidden quite well. We'll be posting up to Rumble and also on YouTube. Okay, that should be done tomorrow. So, till Friday, take care, peace all, and we love you.